Hello land survey enthusiasts, welcome to another episode of AmeriPod Let's Dig. I'm your host Leslie Misk. Today I'm thrilled to chat with our guest, a well-versed survey crew with a wealth of experience navigating the intricacies of challenging projects, from traversing difficult terrains, capturing extensive improvements, to conquering complex topography. Our guest has truly experienced them all in the world of land surveying. Get ready to dive into the conversation filled with insights, stories, and valuable lessons learned in the front lines of land surveying. Without further ado, let's welcome our guest to the AmeriPod Let's Dig, Greg Green.
Hi, everybody. Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming, Greg. Let's get started. First off, how did you get started in the field of land surveying?
It was about almost 4 years ago now. It was right when the COVID pandemic was hitting in about March, April of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I was in car sales and hated it. Had been selling cars for 3 or 4 years and knew I needed to do something else. And then finally, when COVID hit, the market for car sales crashed all of a sudden. Nobody knew what to do, whether their jobs are secure. Nobody was coming in buying cars. So I took that as a sign, hey, now's the time. I need to find something else. So started looking around online, and most of my experience had been in customer service, sales, that sort of thing.
Wow.
I knew I didn't want to do that.
This is like completely
different, right? And that's what I wanted, something completely different. But I didn't have any experience in anything else really. And I saw that I could get a paid apprenticeship to learn a new skill, learn a new trade, and get paid. I knew that I wanted to do something else, and but didn't have the experience in it. Everything wanted 2-3 years of experience before going to get hired on to something. And so I saw this opportunity with a paid apprenticeship, getting paid to train in it, and I thought, you know what? I like working outside. I like being hands-on, and I think this would be a good opportunity. So, put in my application, and here we are 3.5, 4 years later.
It must be really different because you were really customer-based interaction role before, and then now it's completely like isolated somehow. You hardly basically see anyone when you're outside. So do you like that? Or
I do like it. It's funny. This is a very physically demanding, hands-on job, especially sometimes with the elements and being outside and everything. But honestly, at the end of the day, I have more energy doing this than when I did sales.
Oh, really?
Yes, because when I was interacting with people day in and day out, it was just draining. Some people, they get energized by that. The interactions, the talking, the wheeling and dealing, it pumps them up. For me, it was draining. And I would come home from a day of car sales after 8 hours of negotiations and talking and getting to know everybody, and I would just be drained. I would just be exhausted.
Oh, really?
And have no energy left. And this job, physically demanding.
Yep. Brings to the next question. So what does a typical day look like for you as a survey crew?
Well, that's kind of the fun part about the job is there's almost no typical day. It changes from day to day, and that's one of the best things for me is that it doesn't get boring. It doesn't get stagnant. You're always going to be going out and going to different properties, but the job is going to change. Sometimes it's just a normal lot and block, easy cookie cutter house in the suburbs. Sometimes you're going to be out in the hill country on a 5 to 10 acre ranch with cattle and cactus and rattlesnakes.
Depends where I send you, basically.
Where you send me, but I love those. The scenery is beautiful. You may be doing a topography and tree job out there, and the next day you're in downtown Austin, like I was a couple weeks ago, doing an entire hospital.
That was awesome project, wasn't it?
Taking up a full city block, doing a hospital downtown Austin. So, yeah, you never know what you're going to get, but you're pretty much going to be outside all day long, dealing with the elements and walking around. You have no office. Your vehicle is sometimes your office. Driving from one part of town to the other. get to mix it up and have adventures every day.
But give us a brief overview. What typical projects that you actually deal with?
Yeah. So your typical project would be a house. Usually is for sale. 9 times out of 10, what we're doing is someone needs a survey for the title company. They're selling the house, and the title company needs a survey. So you're going out to the house, measuring the house, going around finding the monuments that mark the boundaries of the property, and then you're depicting everything that is important on the property, all the improvements, and working up everything that they need to know, where the property is, what's on it, so that they can be confident in selling that property and knowing
know what they're buying.
Exactly.
I was listening to a podcast one day, and this gentleman, he was a survey crew from another state. His statement is like this: a survey crew, basically a person who's mastering in tape measuring.
Okay, I can see that.
Is that a fair statement? I'm going to tell you my perspective. I said no, because I know how much it entails to basically produce a sketch that you have to submit with all the data that you send in.
Sure.
So it is really unfair statement to say that you are a master of tape measuring and that's what you do.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely not it. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And I agree that mastering the tape measure and being precise and accurate and is important, but there's so much more to it than just that.
I know, and people do take that for granted because they think that all you do is just sketching.
Right. No.
I had that conversation. Why is it that we have to price it as much? Because all that you guys do is just measure. Tell us, what is it that you do at the job site?
Got you. So when I first go out there, my plan, my strategy, even if it's just looking like it's going to be your normal lot and block, I like to get a quick walk around the property, see what you're dealing with, make sure you can even get into the backyard, that the gates aren't locked and there's not a giant dog back there that's going to keep you from doing your job.
That's your pet peeve?
Yeah, that's one of them. Get an idea of what you're working with. And then, yes, usually I do start with sketching and measuring the house. And, depending on the complexity size of the house, that may be, 20 or 30 minutes of the couple hours that you're out there. So that's a big part of it. You want accurate measurements and accurate sketch to depict and everything. But there's so much more to it. After I'm done sketching, measuring, then it comes time to look for the boundary.
The fun part,
look for the monument,
digging.
The digging. Yes, I've dug more holes in this than I ever thought I would in a lifetime.
This is why I decided the name of the podcast is Let's Dig.
I think it's perfect.
Because you cannot avoid digging in land surveying.
Seriously. I've considered getting a tattoo of a shovel on my arm, because that's my number one tool of the trade is my shovel.
We're going to get to the tool.
We're looking for our monuments. We're looking for, our pins. We're digging. We're finding not only the monuments on our property, but some, what we call joiners to the left, to the right, across the street, witness pins. So we're finding all that. Once we found those, then we are recording all of that data. Go around with a GPS and we're shooting in everything that we've found that we can get and collecting all those data points, setting up our total station. I'm sure most of our viewers have seen us, surveyors on the side of the road, wearing our reflective vests with a tripod. It's kind of like the general image people have of surveyors, wearing the hard hat and looking through our total station on the tripod and shooting that in. So that's pretty much the begin to end of a normal job. Yeah,
but that's a very standard, easy property.
Yes,
but
often it could be way more than that. We could be doing the topography of the land. They need to know, how the terrain changes, over that property. We could be doing trees, depicting where all the trees are on that. There's different types of jobs. There's jobs for construction, form checks.
If you're actually a survey crew based in Austin, Austin
Right.
is really diverse, and it's each side of town has actually different elements. If you go to the west side, it's completely hilly, and
really,
you
and mansions
hardly,
a lot of
a lot
times.
of mansions, and a lot of um, properties with challenging, and unique architectural details that
Unique
needs to be
architecture,
depicted.
challenging terrain. You talked
Challenging
about the
terrain,
hills.
extremely wooded,
Dense.
and then you go to the east side, and it's pretty much flat. However, the monuments are scarce, and you go to the central Austin. That's when the legal descriptions have been modified over the years, and then the monuments are even
old Austin, right? Where you don't know. You have to look. What are we looking for here? A X that was made in the concrete 60 years ago, or a really old rusted PK nail stuck in
or a nail on the fence.
Exactly.
That's what you need to look for. So it's that kind of experiences that it made you ready to face any challenges that comes ahead of you.
Yes, you never know what you're going to get, so don't assume that
it's going
to be easy or that you're going to find what you're looking for. Be on the lookout for anything that could help you.
You mentioned earlier about monument. What is monument, and why locating monument is crucial in your role?
Right. So monuments is a broad term for a marker that is marking either a corner of a boundary or a point along your boundary. And it can be a wide variety of things. 9 times out of 10 these days, it is about a foot long iron rod hammered down into the ground. Most times it's underneath the surface of the ground. You can't see it. So we have our metal detector to try to find it and digging. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it's iron rod. Sometimes it's a metal pipe down in the ground the same way. It can be an X in a concrete. It could be a mag, or what we call PK nail hammered down into something. It could just be a fence post, and they said this fence post marks the corner of this boundary. So it could be any number of different things, but it is a marker, essentially saying this is a point of note on this property, and they're very important because that is what tells you what the property is, how big it is, and that you're in the right place.
What kind of training that you have to undergo to become proficient in your role?
For me, I was paid apprenticeship, and it was about a good 6 months of training under experienced party chiefs. I was the gopher, doing the grunt. They like, go get this, go get that. And honestly, for the first month and a half, 2 months, it was find the pins, find the markers, dig the holes. And I got so tired. I was like, is this all surveying is? And it's a big part of it, but I see now the importance of
locating
that continuous. This is your job for the next month and a half, 2 months. Is you're going to the corners, you're finding the pins, you're finding the monuments. And I didn't understand it then, but it's so important because now I can almost do it blindfolded. If it's the right spot and the pins are actually there, you got your metal detector. I can hear, exactly. I can tell you with my metal detector usually how deep.
Really?
Yeah, I could be like, oh, that one's going to be about 1 inch from the surface. I'm getting, that is there, but I'm gonna have to dig. That's going to be about a foot and a half under the ground to get to that monument. A lot of redundancy. You know, practice makes perfect.
Yep.
Finding monuments, and then little by little graduate to, okay, you're good at that. Now we're going to have you taking the GPS and actually going and recording with the data collector. Once you get proficient for that, you go working the total station. All right, now they're going to train you, okay, how to turn it, find the angles, sight it, use a laser, use a total station. So it's gradual. You learn little by little the next steps. And it took me about 6 months before I was comfortable and confident enough to start doing things on my own.
Yep.
But even then, it's not like, oh, I'm a professional. I know it.
How many times the RPLS had to send you to go back?
Oh, sure.
Go back, missing this, missing that.
Learning new things. Once I started going out on my own, I could do your normal lot and block. Then it was, okay, you're proficient with that. Now we're going to give you a topography and tree job. And it's like,
who did that to you?
Oh,
I'm guilty.
But yes, you're never done learning. There's always more to learn and sharpen your skills.
I think that's the best part about your job is, like you said, you don't have a typical day. It's never boring.
Right.
There's always something new for you to learn and experience. Even dealing with different type of personalities out there.
Oh, there's personalities out there.
I remember that you sent a text one day to say that your equipment was trapped in a house because they had a ambush. Remember that?
Yes. It was there was a police chase that culminated directly across the street from the house that I'm working on. So I'm out there. I just set up my total station right next to the driveway of the house across the street. Next thing I know, police sirens, cops coming. First, the person being chased, zooming down the street, pulls into the driveway, nearly taking out my total station on the tripod, and then police cars, all these guys jumping out, bulletproof vests, assault rifles and everything. It was like the Texas Rangers were chasing this guy into his house across the street. So I just cautiously go around the corner of my house across the street.
Filming everything?
Oh, yeah. Take out my iPhone, filming the whole thing, just in case the news needs coverage later. But yeah, there's never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. That's the thing.
Always something to be
So, what are your essential items? What technologies do you use, equipment you use, in order for you to be proficient in what you do?
Sure. Obviously, shovel.
Yes, shovel to dig.
Yeah, to dig. Metal detector to find.
Schonstedt, right?
Schonstedt,
yeah,
the name brand.
That's the name brand, okay.
Right. And then we have our GPS rover. So
GPS rover. What does it do?
On top of a pole. It is getting signals from satellites, and it is recording a spot. Wherever you tell it, you're walking around, you have a level on your rod, and you level it up, and you hit a button, and it says, boom, this is that spot on Earth. And so you are recording anything and everything, where points of concrete come together, the sidewalk, where your monument is you found, anything. It ends up looking like a bunch of points, but we tell it what all those points mean, and then you guys put it together in the computer and make sense of it all. GPS rover is essentially depicting that spot on the Earth, from satellites.
What's the difference between the GPS instrument and the total station?
The GPS uses satellites to record that point in space. The total station doesn't know, where it is on the Earth. You tell it based on a control point that you set. You tell it, you are set up over this exact point on the Earth, and based on where you're set up, you turn it and can shoot a laser and say, all right, based on this point on Earth, that house corner that I'm shooting with the laser is this far away at this angle from where I am.
So we have shovel, metal detector, GPS, and total station. What else?
As far as technology, you've got your data collector.
What is that?
Mine currently is a tablet, basically a beefy, rugged iPad.
Okay.
Thick, heavier than iPad, robust. It's got your software in it. It's communicating with the GPS rover, or it's communicating with the total station, whatever you have it connected to, Bluetooth.
Okay.
And it is storing all of the data points that you're finding. So, like I said, hundreds of data points depending on the size, complexity of the job. It is storing all that information so that at the end of the day, you can upload it
as a text file. That's the one that you actually send out as a text
to a text file. And then the drafters can make sense of all that in combination with your text file and the sketch that you've drawn up. That helps them also decipher what all these dots mean. On their sketch, say, this number is, this on my sketch, and helps put the whole picture together.
How do you actually number them on the sketch? Because I've seen the sketch, they all have like house corners, driveways, and then AC pads or whatnot. They all have numbers that's reference to points that you shoot, on site.
Right.
But how do you actually remember that? Do you do that as you go along? Okay, that's number 27,
Sometimes,
and then you write that down. And
depends on the job. If it's going to be a giant job with hundreds and hundreds of points, like that hospital that we just worked a couple weeks ago, it's a good idea to do it as you go. As you're going and shooting things in, this was this house corner, this was the edge of this sidewalk or driveway, because if you wait until you get home at the end of the day,
you will forget.
You'll forget. You're looking at this text file, you're looking at all the dots on your data collector, and there's hundreds of them, and there's descriptions, your little codes for it, for each dot. But yeah, it's definitely beneficial to do it as you go. On the other hand, if it's a normal lot and block, your cookie cutter house out in the suburbs, you maybe have 25 or 30 points to number. I might shoot it all in,
and you will remember.
And I'll remember this was this house corner, this is this fence corner. There's not much to get wrong.
There's a lot of things that you have to remember and you have to do on site. So it's not just tape measuring.
No. It's definitely not.
How do you plan your day?
So I try to have a routine. It doesn't always work out depending on the job, but that helps me make sure that I'm covering each step and don't forget something. So probably all party chiefs are different. They have their own systems planned out in their heads, but mine is, like I said, get an overview of the project, do my sketch, measure, make sure my sketch is depicting everything. When I have my sketch, as I'm walking the property, I'm making mental notes of, okay, I need to record this, I need to record that. This, there's no tree coverage right here, so I know this I'm going to be able to get with my GPS. GPS can be limited if there's heavy tree coverage, things in the way, other buildings. You might not be able to record it with the GPS. So I'm making mental notes. I'm going to need to get that with the total station. So I'm going to have to set up in the backyard here. So I'm planning it out as I'm sketching, as I'm measuring. And then my next step is typically finding the boundary. I go grab my shovel, grab my Schanstat, and the same thing. While I'm finding the boundary, I'm noting, all right, this pin here there's no tree coverage above it. I'm going to be able to get that with the GPS, but this one over here, it's under this giant oak tree. Not going to be able to get that with my GPS. I'm going to have to get that toll station. So I got to make sure wherever I set my control points, wherever I'm set up, I'm not going to need to be able to see that monument over to the right here. I'm also going to have to see from that control point into the backyard.
So you have to do more than just 1 or 2 setups then.
Oh, sometimes you can get away with one if you're lucky, if you're very lucky. But yes, a lot of times you'll need one in the front, one in the back, maybe, another one down the street. On giant big jobs, you might have 4, 5, 6 setup points all around the property. It changes from property to property. It's definitely planning as you go and being able to making mental notes as to how to make it easier for me based on what I'm seeing,
It is really difficult to tell how long a job can take.
Absolutely.
Then if that's the case, because you pretty much said the house is easy, but when the monuments are hard to find.
Right. A lot of times I'll look at list of properties for today, plan out in my head, okay, this is what the day is going to look like. I've got this property here, and look at it and say, okay, that looks easy. I'll be there for an hour maybe. And then you get out there, and maybe even then you look at it and you say, oh, cakewalk, no problem. You start sketching, everything's breezing through. Sketch takes 15 minutes. Oh, I'm golden. And then you start looking for the boundary, looking for the monuments. And then the next thing you know, where is everything? Did they set any iron rods in this neighborhood? Did the utilities come and dig them all up and move them? I'm not finding anything. And
it's not necessarily in the older neighborhood. Sometimes in the newer neighborhood too.
Yeah.
And even though the plat say that there's that pin, sometimes plating surveyors do not set them.
Oh, yes.
Again. So what happens then when that happens? What do you need to do?
If you're not finding what you need to record anything else that you can base the property on. So what you would want to do is record what we call back of curb, where the sidewalk or where the curb street ends on your block, all sides of the block.
Wow.
And across the street on every side, so they can tell, okay, there's
the right of way.
50-foot right of way from the property across the street to yours. So here's the block. You need to record fence lines, which aren't always accurate, but it's a good indication. You need to record fence posts all around the block, utilities, street signs, anything that'll help you figure out where the heck are you, on this property.
So in terms of the data collection, what is it that you need to collect?
So need to collect, like we said, monuments are probably number one. Without monuments and knowing where your boundary is, nothing else really matters, because you want to make sure that everything else you're recording lies within your designated property.
Yeah.
So you're recording monuments, the found iron rods, the X's, the pipes, etc. And then you need what's called improvements, pretty much man-made, permanent on the property. So the house itself, driveways, sidewalks, fence lines, anything that's been added to the property that's of note. Then utilities are important. So they need to know on this property, where's the water meter? Where's your electric meter, gas meter, anything running to the house? Overhead electric need to be able to depict where our power lines are running.
How do you shoot the power line?
And usually I will shoot it with my total station when I'm set up. I can see that from half a block away. That power pole is tall, so I'll record it with the total station.
We do inform the client that we can actually determine how long you're going to be on site,
right?
For various factors.
And you never know what's going to come up.
Exactly. I tell a client one time that your property has a lot of mature trees, so we might not have a good GPS coverage.
Sure.
That our crew will need to depict the improvements and collect the data using the total station. And their response is that, well, I have a good cell response here. What are you talking about? So just FYI, our GPS actually feeds through satellite.
Right. Yeah. Just because you have cell reception, good cell reception is important. Just because you have good cell reception does not mean you have good, what we call line of sight to the satellites above you. If the tree coverage is too heavy, it's all about being precise, being accurate about what you're shooting in, right?
Yeah.
If you have tree coverage and the GPS rover that you're using isn't getting good communication, good signal to the satellites, then it's pretty much pointless. So then you have to do everything with the total station, and
it takes longer.
It takes a lot.
And people don't understand that GPS really one of the best innovations there is.
Absolutely.
To make a job quicker.
I've only known doing this job with the advantage of GPS, but I can hardly imagine doing some of the jobs that I do now without that advancement. It boggles my mind how they did this, without, and it was only 20, 25 years ago or so that they've been using GPS. So grateful that it's a tool that we can utilize now.
Have you experienced being followed around by homeowner or client when trying to collect data?
Oh my gosh.
What do you think of that? And how is it affecting your work efficiency and accuracy?
Sure. Yes, I have experienced that. It's not super common. Most of the times we're working jobs, it's a house for sale. So half the time, maybe more, the house is vacant. So you're not dealing with the homeowner. But we're getting hired privately from the homeowner, wants to determine where to build a fence between their house and the neighbors. Maybe they're having a dispute with that neighbor and tensions are high. And so they want to be out and giving us the whole scoop about the fight they've been having with the neighbor. And this is why they brought us out here. And they want to follow you around and see exactly what you're doing and monitor every step and chat you up. And I'm a friendly guy. I'll let them talk and everything. But it definitely slows you down, and it may distract you. This is a job that attention to detail is important, and accuracy is important. And so if you're distracted by somebody, no matter how friendly they are and the conversation's good, it may be distracting. Say you go out to a fancy restaurant or something, go out to eat, and then you go back in the kitchen and you're chatting up the chef that's cooking your meal. And you're like, what are you doing there? But how exactly do you do that? And what ingredients are you using and everything? And the chef is trying to do what they're doing, make your meal for you. You're eventually going to get your meal, but it might take longer than it would have.
Or probably forgot to season.
Exactly. It may not be as delicious and perfect of a meal as it would have been if you hadn't been distracting the chef.
Yes.
So I like to compare it to that.
I like that analogy. We always discourage clients to interrupt you guys in the field. We always tell them that your duty is to collect accurate data. Sure. It is really essential. So the more distraction you get, the less efficient and the less productive you guys would be. So it is for their own benefit to leave you alone.
You definitely come say hi, or I'm going to come to your door anyway to let you know that I'm on the property. Love to have a 1 or 2 minute chat, and if they have information that's going to be helpful for me, by all means, to give me some pointers, or at least let me know, hey, by the way, we are having a dispute with our neighbor to the west over here. He's really unhappy with us. Be careful about interacting, whatever. We appreciate a little bit of communication, but yes, when we're doing our job, when we're focusing, it's best to let us concentrate.
Yep. So that brings me to the next question. Are all property corners found on the first trip always the correct monuments for the property? If not, please explain how holding the incorrect monument without waiting until the survey is finalized can cause issues, especially when the survey is needed for permitting or building purposes.
Right. So to answer that question, no, the monuments you're finding aren't always the ones for your property. There are oftentimes other iron rods or X's or something nearby that are telling you something else.
Sometimes it belongs to the adjoining or property behind you.
Yes, exactly. The fence lines aren't always, lining up exactly down the block. Your house could be staggered a little bit from the one behind you. So you find a iron rod and you assume this is our corner, but it's actually the corner for the house behind you, and it's 2 feet over from yours. It looks like it's in the right spot, but yours is 2 feet over. So yes, you record that, and that's what gets you in trouble, assuming that that's your property line. Like you said, it can mess things up, especially for construction, purposes.
Or fencing purposes.
Fences, or yes, somebody wants to put in a swimming pool or pour a concrete foundation for a she shed in the backyard, right? They're supposed to be pouring that foundation. So they need to be at least, in this case, 5 feet from the property line. If you're saying that this rod you found is the right one, we'll make sure it's 5 feet from that line.
Yeah.
But it's 2 feet over from, then all of a sudden they've poured a foundation, may cost thousands of dollars, and it needs to be moved. It's
unfortunately in the wrong spot. That happens quite often. The most common thing that I found by working in the office is that the fact that they hold monuments for the neighboring lot as their monument. Just for the record, when our survey crew go out to the property, they are required to record every single monument they found for the sake of boundary resolution.
Right. The more you find, the better. Yeah,
the more you find, the better. So that's basically collecting witness pins along with collecting the pins for our lot. But that's why we encourage clients to always wait until the survey has been finalized by our RPLS before assuming that's my corner.
Absolutely.
Can you share a particularly challenging, interesting project you've worked on, and is there any solutions that you implemented to make your work more proficient and productive?
Yes, it's probably one that sticks out was a giant mansion over Westlake Hills.
You've done so many of them. Which one is this?
Oh, I remember this one. I have done a lot, but Westlake Hills area west of Austin. This was a mansion that needed the house and curvy, intricate swimming pool, planters, walls, but they also needed topography.
Hang on, is that the one that you have to take? What do you call that? A lift?
Oh,
is that the one?
No,
that's also a big property.
There was one that had like a gondola almost.
Yes,
from the top of the property all the way down to the river.
Is that the one?
No, because that one was only like a cabin, cottage, guest house as far as the house on the property. This one was a mansion that needed topography and trees. And if you remember in Westlake Hills, their tree requirements
3 inches.
Every tree 3 inches or greater.
Any species.
Any and every species, including cedars, which are abundant. So there was probably 70, 80 trees on this property.
Oh, that's not many.
No, but there were no, it is a lot. And the pool and everything. And so luckily I had a helper on that job, but it was multiple days. I think it took 2 or 3 days. And a lot of strategy, a lot of planning. But when I get jobs like that, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and not even know where to start. And okay, what am I gonna do here? Do I start doing topography? Do I start doing the trees? And there's a saying that I try to remember when I'm facing complicated jobs like that. It's kind of a riddle. It's, how do you eat an elephant? And it's
Small pieces at
one
a time.
bite at a time. One bite at a time. You get a big job. You say, all right, you know what? You just start doing it. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to check things off the list. Don't get overwhelmed. And little by little, it'll all come together. It may take 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes a week to complete a job, but it'll get done. You know, it almost looked like an apartment complex. It was one story, but it was a beast.
So really, your role, in my opinion, you guys are the eyes, the ears, the hands, and the legs of basically Ameri surveyors.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're not doing your job properly, and if you're not doing your job correctly, then basically we're doomed.
Sure. Yeah, we're the a lot of times the only person, in person that that the client sees.
Yes,
you know, they may have a lot of communication with you online or over the phone in our front office, but we are the face and the person on site.
Presentation matters, really.
It does. You know, like a lot of times you aren't communicating with anybody, but you have to be prepared to have interactions with not only the client, but maybe their neighbors. They see some guy is down their property line, digging around, walking the fence. You have to understand that you're working on one property, but that property has boundaries along at least sometimes 3, 4, 5 other properties. And so, especially out there on a big 5-acre job out in the country, and if somebody sees somebody walking down their property line, poking around, they don't know who this is. So it's good to look as official as possible. Yeah. You know, if you're wearing your reflective vest and your shirt with the logo on, your hat with our company logo on, people tend to think, okay, that guy is supposed to be here. He's legit. He's not trying to hide or be sneaky when he's wearing his bright, green reflective vest.
We do get calls as well. What is sometimes it's not really the next door neighbor. Sometimes it could be someone probably few houses down, just to look out for the other neighboring properties.
There's a lot of neighbors that are protective of their block, and they're saying, hey, someone weird's looking at. I have had clients, it's helpful sometimes when the client knows we're coming. I've had it where they call up the neighbors surrounding them, and they give them a heads up, and they say, hey, just letting you know.
That's nice.
Sometime in this next week, or maybe it's once I get on site, and they say, you know what, I'm going to call Jim next door and let him know that you're going to be out here, just so you're not surprising anybody.
That's so nice.
That's helpful.
That's really helpful, but that's not every day.
Not every day.
Unfortunately.
It is not.
Which technological advancements or tools that have significantly improved the efficiency of surveying processes, in your opinion?
My opinion, GPS. I think that's number one. Like I said, I couldn't imagine doing some of these jobs without it. It's invaluable. I think GPS is probably number one advancement that's come along.
Tell me about the information that you use in order for you to do your job. What information you need?
The number one is probably the original plat that was worked up when they were subdividing that neighborhood. It tells you, this is the lot that you're working on. This is where you are. This is the distance from your boundary to the adjoining boundaries. Tells you the distance and angle of the boundary points. Plats are definitely a very important piece of information.
Are there specific skills you think that are particularly valuable in the field of land surveying?
Sure. I would say resilience.
Resilient?
Yeah. A thick skin,
In what way?
You're going to have challenging jobs. Not every day is going to be easy, and the weather's not always going to be nice.
The weather.
The terrain is going to be rocky and steep and challenging. There's going to be thorny bushes or rose bushes or wasp nests or poison ivy. I get it about twice a year.
Oh my God.
All over. So not only physically but emotionally, thick skin, angry clients, angry neighbors. You're collecting your data, and sometimes they're having a dispute, and they're not happy with these property lines. You're just out there, finding what's out there to be found, and they think that you're on one person's team. I'm not on anybody's side. This is a tough day. The weather's bad. The people are angry, but I'm gonna keep plugging away. And then another attribute that I think we mentioned was attention to detail. I think it's important for a good surveyor, good party chief, rod man, RPLS, to have a good attention to detail. It's all about being accurate, being precise, and not guessing. Inches, tenths matters. So having attention to detail, I think
we have had boundary disputes between neighbors over 2 inches.
Yeah.
So
some people think, it's 2 inches. Like, share that fence line. It's got to be exact. Safety
is crucial in your profession. How do you prioritize safety during surveying projects, especially in challenging environments?
I think planning ahead is important for safety.
I mean, it's not just the condition of the property that you have to consider, but also your surrounding. You don't know what type of people that you actually come across on site.
Sure.
They can be really offended that you're at their property, and then that could escalate. So how do you basically manage that?
Yeah. As far as safety goes, being in communication with the front office and saying, hey, I'm out here at this job, just letting you know there's a angry neighbor, or there's a giant dog, over here that doesn't seem too happy that I'm being aware of your surroundings. Like I said, being prepared. You don't want safety to be an afterthought. You want to be prepared. So
that's a good point.
In my truck, I have these Kevlar shin guards for rattlesnakes that I have.
Oh my God! How many snakes have you found?
Honestly, not too many. It's maybe I need to be more aware and observant and be looking for them. But I've probably only seen 2 or 3.
Even in Westlake,
deadly snakes. I've seen plenty of friendly
pet
garter snakes. But yeah, I've got a snake bite, emergency snake bite kit in my glove box. Just in case. I've never had to use it. I probably never will. But like I said, be prepared, right?
Touch wood.
It's 105, 108 degrees sometimes in the summer. Have plenty of water with you. I always bring probably twice as much water as I think I'm going to need for the day, because you don't want to run out of water. Safety is being prepared for the elements, for the terrain, for people or animals that you might encounter, for traffic coming by. You may be on a busy street, so I've got reflective vests, a very bright orange, visible hat. I've got traffic cones to set up to divert cars whizzing by me. So, just be prepared. Have the equipment that you think you might need ahead of time.
So you recently did the quite big project with that hospital.
Mm-hmm.
How do you coordinate? How did you coordinate and communicate with your teammates when working on the larger projects like that to make sure that the data collection is seamless? The processes that you guys have to do actually coordinate nicely with each other.
Right. So planning ahead of time, take it into bite-sized chunks and say, okay, maybe we'll team up on doing this part together. Maybe we'll split up and I'll be doing this while you're doing that. Kind of get a game plan together. And then as far as communication, luckily this is downtown Austin, so cell phone coverage is great. You call each other instead of, trying to go, where is this guy? Walking around a full city block to go find my partner, call each other, give me a ring. And then, Bluetooth earbuds or AirPods or whatever are great. Useful. For, you need your hands, right? So we're working, I'm on a phone call with him. He's, a couple 100 feet away. He's on the total station. I'm, being his rod man. I've got the prism pole, and, instead of having to hold your cell phone, try to level something, you got your AirPods in, you're talking, you say, all right, ready to take a shot. I'm plumb,
Oh, wow.
So, cell phones, hands-free devices are always good. So
you clearly enjoying this role.
Oh, yeah.
And then you decided really, over a year ago, right? That you made this as your career now.
I have, yeah.
And then tell us a little bit more. What is it that you do currently to advance yourself in this role?
So I'm a student all over again. I'm going back to school. Yeah.
Are you the oldest in the class?
No, actually not. Probably about average. There's some people way younger than me, which is great. It's promising to see some young people getting involved in the business and advance themselves early.
Is it a dying industry?
Well, I wouldn't say dying. Well, it's evolving, it's changing, and I got a feeling it's gonna be rebounding. But yes, the average RPLS, the average party chief age is getting older and older. They don't teach you a lot about it. You don't hear a lot about surveying.
It is really, at AMER Surveyors, we encourage our crews to pursue further education, and as long as you get A's and B's,
only A's for me.
Only A's. We sponsor your tuition, basically.
It's a lot of support. I appreciate that. But the demand for surveying isn't going anywhere. There will always be a demand. There'll always be the need for surveying. So it's actually a good time, I think, to get into it now, because there's fewer people doing it. Professions are getting phased out by technology.
Yeah.
But surveying will always be around, will always be something that's in demand.
Now that you're taking some classes, do you find it what you're studying currently actually makes sense now?
It goes kind of both ways. In class, things make a little more sense when they're covering topics and lectures of like, I've already kind of learned that hands-on in the field. So it makes me a better student, having already had some experience hands-on, and then vice versa has made me in some ways a better party chief out in the field, learning these concepts, bearings and distances in the classroom, how to calculate things like, I learned this, in class, and I go out and start utilizing that. I found this pen, now I know how to calculate,
Don't cheat now. So that I wish that everybody else would follow your footsteps to?
My biggest thing is I love being outside. I like not having an office right now. I'm not the youngest party chief, but I try to stay in good shape and young in spirit. I like being out there, being physical, but I know that 10 years, 15 years from now, I'm probably not going to want to be out there all summer long in 105-degree heat. I'm pretty fair skinned, but I do get tanned. I'm looking towards the future, and I want to definitely make this a career.
Yeah.
But at some point, I'm going to want to be behind a desk, doing the things, calling the shots.
Well, that's great. So for those who interested in pursuing a career in land surveying as a survey crew or a party chief, what advice do you have for them?
I would say if you have any inclination, any thoughts that it might be something that you'd like, that you'd be interested in, just to do it, just to go out there, apply, get on, and try it out, and don't let your fear of not knowing anything about it hold you back, because I knew nothing about land surveying when I first started. Luckily, you all were offering an apprenticeship that was going to teach me hands-on, but my first day on the job, I didn't know what surveying was. I didn't know what monuments were. I was green as could be, and didn't know.
You didn't even know probably when you first purchased your home that you had a survey.
Yeah, what's a survey?
What is the survey?
What is the purpose of this? Why am I paying for a survey?
I paying this?
This is just a piece of paper that shows my house on a, what did I pay for? But yeah, it all comes together. So I would say to anybody interested, jump in, get your hands dirty. And
we actually train our crew in-house from zero to they become a party chief. So I'm really proud of every single one of them. So any message for the clients or potential clients?
Any clients, just say thank you, first of all. Thank you for your support and keeping us going. And I love to hear feedback from them. So there's been a couple of occasions where people have left Google reviews.
Yeah, that would be nice because they do a good job.
It feels good when we do a good job and somebody comes back and acknowledges that and says, hey, I had Greg out here. He was warm. He was friendly. He went above and beyond. That means a lot. And so any clients or potential clients that are listening or watching this, you're already there. You drop a comment and say if you had a good experience with us.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. How was that?
Not bad.
Not bad. The next one would be rapid question segment. So we're gonna take a break. Okay, Greg. Time for rapid questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Ready?
Let's go.
Favorite TV shows?
Seinfeld.
Favorite movies?
Ooh, Godfather Part 2.
Oh. Now, Party Chief's hat, okay? 6 final as-built standard cookie-cutter homes or 1 big mansion that under 1 acre?
Ooh. Still 6 cookie-cutter homes. The mansions, they scare me.
Topography or final?
Topography.
Topography or tree?
Topography.
Lone working or with helper?
I'd say lone, but alone. I don't mind helper, but alone is good.
Texting or calling?
Texting.
My God. Antisocial.com. Hot or cold?
Hot.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Rain or winter?
Winter.
There you go. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you for joining us on this captivating journey through the world of land surveying. We hope today's insights from our guests have provided you with valuable perspective and a deeper appreciation for the challenges and triumphs within the field. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more riveting conversations. Remember, the landscape of knowledge is vast, and with each surveyor story, we uncover a new dimension of the ever-evolving terrain. Until next time, happy surveying!